Hi, my name's Phil. I'm a member of Latin Link in Brazil, and I live in Sao Paulo, where I'm just finishing a period of study at the Theological Seminary here. I'm just in the library recording this film. I've been asked to say a few words about the theme of biblical spirituality, which is one of our core values as a mission. And I think we live in an age where spirituality is making something of a comeback in the Western world. But frequently I think it's a pick and mix spirituality. It's a spirituality where you have it your own way, whichever way you want. As a mission, we believe that there is one true God and that he's made himself known. And that means that there's one right way to have a relationship with him. We can't do it any way we want to. There's an interesting story in the Old Testament about when David was moving the Ark of the Covenant. The best place to read about that is in the book of Chronicles, 1 Chronicles chapters 13 and 15. And David goes to a huge effort. He gets all the people together, and there's a huge amount of effort put into moving the Ark of the Covenant and a great enthusiasm. But it actually ends in disaster. A man dies because they've done it the wrong way. They've not done it the way that God had said that the ark should be moved. And so some time passes, and David goes away, and he's really broken. He's disappointed. But later on, he comes back to do it again. And we discover that in the interim, he's studied the scriptures to work out how God wanted the Ark of the Covenant to be moved. And he manages to do it, and he manages to get the ark into Jerusalem, and that's a really key achievement for having God's blessing on the whole nation of Israel. But I think that story really shows us and really illustrates the principle that good intentions are not enough in our relationship with God. If we want to connect with God, if we want to relate to him, we need to know what he's like. We need to listen to him and find out how to relate to him, how to be his friend. So there's a need to pray, obviously. Prayer is a fundamental part of spirituality. But again, it's not just any kind of prayer. It's not just any way of praying that we fancy. Later on in Chronicles, we discover some really key lessons about prayer. Solomon prays a prayer asking God that in the future he would answer every prayer that's made in the temple which he's just built. And God says, yes, I will answer every prayer that's made here. And I will give my blessing. And later on in the Bible, in the New Testament, we discover that the ultimate meaning of the temple is the person of Jesus. That we therefore, as Christians, we need to pray in Jesus, pray focusing on Jesus. And that's the key lesson the Bible has for us about biblical spirituality. If we want to relate to God, we need to do it through Jesus. He's the basis of our relationship with God. So I've said that it's not just about having good intentions. We need to listen to how God wants us to relate to him. But before I finish, I want to say that actually the danger is just as big if you go too far the other way. We're not saying that Christianity, that our spirituality should be cold and cerebral and intellectual merely. That wouldn't be a relationship at all. And perhaps that's the implicit danger of the library, of anyone who's engaged in theological study like me, that we become too intellectual about this all. We need to engage our minds, but also our emotions. I think it was John Stott who said, quoting a bishop from about 100 years ago, an Anglican bishop called Handley Moule, who said that we should beware equally of an undevotional theology and an untheological devotion. So we need to know God, and we need to have a living relationship with him in prayer. And so this is our conviction, that we do need to read the Bible, and we need to study it hard, and we need to think. But then also we need to get down on our knees and weep about our sin and put ourselves before God humbly in that way. But we also need to then also get up on our feet and jump and shout and sing as we celebrate God's goodness to us in Jesus.